Imagine this. The power goes out. 1 hour passes, then 12, then 3 days. Your phone is dead, your food is spoiling, and you realize that all those supplies you've stockpiled are useless without the one thing most preppers forget, a real backup power plan. In this video, you're going to discover the critical mistakes preppers make with backup power, learn how to calculate exactly what you need to survive a long-term blackout, and get a complete roadmap for building a reliable power system that goes far beyond basic batteries and flashlights. By the end, you'll know exactly how to keep your family safe, your food preserved, and your critical systems running when the grid fails. Welcome to Prep Pantry, where we cut through the noise and give you practical strategies that actually work when SHTF. If you're serious about being prepared, hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss our essential prepping content. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Most preppers have a false sense of security when it comes to backup power. You've got a few power banks, some flashlights, maybe even a small portable power station. You think you're covered. But here's the reality check. Those solutions might keep your phone charged for a day or two, but they're nowhere near enough for a real grid-down situation. When we're talking about blackouts that last days, weeks, or even months, you need to think strategically. A catastrophic power outage doesn't just mean you can't watch TV or browse the internet. It triggers a cascade effect that impacts nearly every system you rely on. Your water might stop flowing, especially if you're on a well. Your food starts spoiling within hours. Your heating or cooling systems shut down, and suddenly your shelter becomes uncomfortable or even dangerous depending on the season. And if anyone in your family relies on medical equipment, you're looking at a life-threatening situation. This is why having a real plan matters. And the first step is understanding what you actually need to power. Not every appliance in your home is equally important during a blackout. You need to prioritize ruthlessly. Let's start with lighting. This one's straightforward, and honestly, it's the easiest need to address. Modern LED lights consume a fraction of the energy that traditional bulbs used to. You've got options: flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, candles, glow sticks. But here's something most people don't think about: visibility. During a widespread outage, if your house is the only one on the block that's lit up like a Christmas tree, you're painting a target on yourself. You need to control how much light is visible from outside. Blackout curtains aren't just for sleeping in late. Now let's talk refrigeration. While you can technically survive without it, refrigeration is highly desirable, especially when you're trying to preserve food and medications. The problem? A standard refrigerator consumes between 1.5 to 3 kilowatt hours per day. That's a massive draw on any backup power system. If you're serious about keeping food cold during an extended outage, you need to think smarter. Mini fridges and chest freezers use half the energy of a full-size refrigerator. Better yet, DC refrigerators are even more efficient. They're pricier, but they can run 24/7 on a single lithium iron phosphate battery with an adapter. If you have critical medications that need refrigeration, this investment could literally save a life. Heating and cooling are where things get really challenging. Even if your home uses natural gas for heating, the fans and electronic controls require electricity, often 400 watts or more. If you run that continuously, you're looking at 10 kilowatt hours per day or more. That's enormous. For heating, you're better off looking at alternatives: fireplaces, portable propane heaters like Mr. Buddy, wood stoves. For cooling, swamp coolers or evaporative coolers can provide relief, especially the small personal units. There are even DIY options you can build yourself. Water is another critical consideration that catches people off guard. If you're on a well, no power means no water, period. Your well pump needs electricity to function. Even in urban areas, municipal water systems can be affected if pumping stations lose power. You need to research your local infrastructure and understand your specific risks. Having water stored is one thing, but if you're planning for a long-term scenario, you need a way to keep that well pump running. Cooking isn't necessarily a must-have for backup power if you stock the right foods: canned goods, freeze-dried meals, things you can eat cold. But alternative cooking methods are incredibly valuable. You can use fireplaces, outdoor grills, solar ovens that let you bake using only sunlight, or compact butane and alcohol stoves for indoor use. And then there's medical equipment. If anyone in your household relies on CPAP machines, oxygen concentrators, or refrigerated medications, backup power isn't optional. It's non-negotiable. These needs must be at the very top of your priority list. So how do you figure out exactly how much backup power you need? You have to measure your actual consumption.
There are two approaches. The manual method involves looking at the wattage listed on each appliance's label and estimating how many hours per day you'll use it.
But the better way is to use a power meter. Devices like the TAPO watt meter or kilowatt meter give you real-time and cumulative energy usage data. You simply plug your appliance into the meter, let it run for a day or two, and you'll know exactly what you're dealing with. No guessing required. Here's a strategy that changes everything. Instead of trying to power your entire home, focus on one room. Pick a room that can be easily secured and blacked out to prevent light from escaping. Maybe it's your master bedroom. Maybe it's a basement room. Concentrate all your essential activities there. This approach conserves energy dramatically and enhances your security. You're not trying to live your normal life during a grid down event. You're trying to survive comfortably and safely. Now let's dive into the actual solutions, the hardware that's going to keep you running when everyone else is in the dark. Lithium iron phosphate batteries, or LifePO4 batteries, and portable power stations have become the modern prepper's best friend. Prices have dropped significantly in recent years, and the technology is proven. But here's the critical part. Reliability matters more than brand recognition or maximum capacity. You need to avoid unknown brands that might fail catastrophically when you need them most. Cheap knockoffs aren't just unreliable. When they fail, they can be hazardous, and you're stuck with a hazardous waste disposal problem. Stick with reputable manufacturers, EcoFlow, Bluetti, Jackery, and similar established brands. For capacity, a 2,000 watt-hour power station is the sweet spot for most people. It's versatile enough to run your essential appliances for several hours, and it's portable enough to move around if needed. Now, if you really want to integrate backup power into your home properly, you need to consider a transfer switch. A transfer switch allows you to safely connect a backup power source, whether that's a generator or power station, directly to your home's electrical system. No more extension cords snaking through your house, creating trip hazards and limiting what you can power. With a transfer switch, you can power selected circuits in your home directly. Professional installation is highly recommended. This isn't a DIY project unless you really know what you're doing. The benefits are substantial: seamless integration with your home's wiring, and the ability to power high-demand appliances like well pumps that you can't easily run on extension cords. Generators are the traditional backup power solution, and they still have their place. You can run them on gasoline, propane, or diesel. Inverter generators are quieter and more efficient than conventional generators, making them preferable for residential use. But let's be honest about the downsides. Generators are noisy. Even inverter generators make enough noise to be heard by neighbors or anyone passing by. During a widespread emergency, that noise attracts attention. Use generators during the day when ambient noise levels are higher, and switch to silent power stations at night. The other issue with generators is fuel. For a short-term outage, you can store enough gasoline or propane, but for a long-term scenario, fuel availability becomes a serious concern. How much can you safely store? How long will it last? These are questions you need to answer honestly. Solar power changes the game entirely. Solar panels can recharge your power stations or batteries, giving you a renewable source of energy during extended outages. You don't need a massive installation. Even a modest setup, say 400 watts of panels, can make a significant difference. During a multi-week or multi-month scenario, solar might be the only thing standing between you and a dead battery bank. And here's one more option that people often overlook: your vehicle. In a pinch, you can use your car's alternator to generate power, connect an inverter to your car battery, and run an extension cord into your home. This isn't ideal for long-term use because of fuel consumption and noise, but for short-term emergencies, it's a viable backup to your backup. The most resilient backup power plans don't rely on a single solution. They layer multiple systems to create redundancy and flexibility. Think of it as a tiered approach. Your primary power should be a large capacity power station, something like an EcoFlow Delta Pro 3, connected through a transfer switch to handle essential circuits. This is your workhorse, powering things like your refrigerator, well pump, and critical lighting in your designated safe room. Your secondary power is a generator or inverter that you use for recharging your batteries and running high-demand appliances during the day. This extends your primary system's runtime significantly. Your tertiary power consists of smaller power stations dedicated to individual devices, your router, your laptops, medical equipment. These smaller units can be charged from your primary or secondary systems, or even from solar panels. They give you flexibility and ensure that even if your main system is powering the fridge, you can still charge phones or run a CPAP machine. And finally, renewable power in the form of solar panels. This is what extends your capabilities from days into weeks or months. Even if clouds reduce efficiency, you're still capturing energy. In a long-term grid-down scenario, this renewable aspect becomes absolutely critical. But hardware is only part of the equation. You also need to think about security and operational security. During a widespread blackout, your home's security posture changes dramatically. If you're the only house with lights on, with a generator humming outside, you're advertising that you have resources. That makes you a target. This is where strategic planning matters. Use blackout curtains on your windows. Select a room that's not visible from the street. Run your generator during the day, when there's ambient noise and other activity. Switch to silent battery power at night. The goal is to maintain the appearance that your home is just as dark and powerless as everyone else's, even though you're living relatively normally inside. Now, not everyone can afford a high-end power station or a professional transfer switch installation right away. That's okay. You can start smaller and scale up over time. If you're on a tight budget, consider these alternatives. Start with a mini fridge or chest freezer instead of trying to power a full-size refrigerator. The energy savings are substantial. Look for used or refurbished power stations from reputable brands. You can often find deals that save you hundreds of dollars. Build your own solar charging system with off-the-shelf components if you're handy. Use your vehicle with a car inverter as a temporary generator solution. And don't underestimate the value of no-power solutions. Stock up on no-cook foods. Maintain water storage. Invest in manual tools. Sometimes the best backup power strategy is reducing your dependence on power in the first place. If you're really limited on budget or space, at minimum, assemble a lights out kit. Flashlights and batteries, LED lanterns, candles and matches, a portable radio, basic first aid supplies, and no-cook food options. This won't power your home, but it ensures you have the basics to get through a short-term outage safely and with some level of comfort. As you build your system, remember that it needs maintenance. Test your backup power systems regularly. Don't wait until the emergency to discover that a battery has degraded or a connection is loose. Rotate batteries, check fuel supplies, verify connections. Make running on backup power a routine drill, not a surprise. And when equipment fails, because eventually it will, dispose of it properly. Lithium batteries are hazardous waste. Never throw them in regular trash. Find a proper disposal facility. The difference between discomfort and disaster during a grid down event comes down to one thing: preparation. You don't need to power your entire home. You need a smart, layered strategy that keeps your critical systems running. Now it's your turn. Start by identifying your 3 most critical power needs. Calculate their daily consumption and pick one solution from this video to implement this month. Remember, the best time to plan for a blackout is right now, before the lights go out. If this video helped you level up your prepping strategy, smash that like button and subscribe to Prep Pantry for more nonsense survival content. Drop a comment below and tell us, what's your biggest backup power challenge? We read every comment and your question might be featured in our next video. Stay safe, stay prepared, and we'll see you in the next one.